Hi, I'm Melody Hart. I'm with Strategic Treasure, and this is Ryan Heaslip from Reval. And we're here to talk to you today about Section 385. First, why don't you tell us about your role at Reval?
Certainly. I'm Ryan Heaslip, Senior Solutions Consultant with Reval. I basically go around to treasury organizations across Canada and the United States, Fortune 1000, work with them to understand their challenges and see how Reval and our team can help.
So as you probably know, Section 385 has some pretty onerous proposed regulations. And just last week, they came out with some final regulations. They have some good news in that pooling has been exempted, which was one of the big concerns for Treasury, and some of the documentation requirements have been reduced, but there still are considerable documentation requirements. I wondered if you could speak to the purpose of 385, why this is coming into play now.
Well, if you look at the recent amendments, it's basically distinguishing between debt and equity treatment for the intercompany loans. So what's happened recently is cash pooling, traditional cash pools, ZVA pools, being used for cash management purposes are being exempt in terms of less scrutiny and will be treated as debt, as well as short-term intercompany, things that have short-term indexes, zero interest rate, less than 120 days maturity. Again, just normal cash management practices. Those will continue to be treated as debt, as they always have. So really the focus is on those intercompany loans, for the most part, that are maybe 6, 9, 12 months or longer. They will have a lot more scrutiny, a lot more documentation requirements to ensure that they continue to be treated as debt and not equity in the future.
So how does that play out for a Treasury Department that has the loans that are not cash pooling loans? How does that play out for them and what they're going to have to do?
Well, one, I think they have to have all of their loans in one place, so one central repository. They need to be able to have all of the documentation in one place. They need to have, if they can, a system that can collaborate between Treasury and tax, so that tax is able to view and see those loans on the books and make sure that there's no surprises at the end of the loan, because you really can't go back after the loan is completed and be able to get the treatment you're looking for.
Okay, so for a company that's just starting out to think about 385, what would be the steps that they should begin to take to become compliant?
I think the key is it's not a case of documentation up front and that's it. It's really ongoing. Now, the recent guidance did soften in terms of the timeliness of documentation. You don't need documentation within 30 days of a loan. You need it at time of filing. But with a Treasury system, it's more regimented. So at inception of a loan, you're able to get all of the necessary documentation attached to the loan. Throughout the life of the loan, if the principal or interest schedules change, that's being documented. And then ultimately, and really one of the most important things is at the end of the loan to be able to prove that the interest and principal was paid back as it was supposed to. That's one of the key pieces. If you have a loan out there, and I mean, I see it all the time, before 385 was being talked about, loans that were 6, 9, 12 months that were being rolled over. And it was always when we're with clients, it's, well, do these ever get paid back? And it's kind of a chuckle, and no, they get rolled over and rolled over. That will be a problem, and Treasury organizations will have to find ways to live within 385 going forward, whether that be document, mature the loans, and have a waiting period and enter into new loans, but the rolling over of loans continually will have problems in the future.
And so for Reval, what specifically do you see in your future of having to do to make your system handle the compliance?
Well, right now it's just looking at Reval and understanding that, one, we have the ability to attach documentation, not just attach documentation, timestamps, audit histories on the documentation, the ability to search and be able to report on the documentation in a meaningful way, the ability to have approval process. You might have in the future tax wanting to review and approve the loans. And then at maturity of the loan, really having a look back, the proving of the principal and interest payments, proving that the loan performed as it's been documented. And really in terms of Reval being a software as a service solution, really being focused on compliance, whether it be hedge accounting or FBAR, Dodd-Frank, EMIR, this is just one more piece where if something changes in terms of guidance, we're going to be able to have a release or a maintenance release so that our customers are in compliance as interpretation changes in the future.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ryan.
Thanks, Molly.